How do we see others? Do we look down on others who don't seem to be in the same place as us? What do you see when you pass the panhandler or the addict on the street, or even the person who, while driving to work, cuts you off? Do you resist the automatic judgment that may creep into your mind, the suddenly planted thought of, well, just stop using, go to rehab, get a job, or yelling through a windshield at the person you almost rear-ended? Would that be what Jesus thought or said, or how we viewed them? Do we view others with the compassion Jesus showed, or do we often overlook them in our rush through life? What if we paused to consider the individuals we encounter? What stories might they carry? What struggles might they be experiencing? And here's a big one. What could they teach us? Have you ever wondered how Jesus saw and still sees others? Jesus saw beyond the surface. He looked at others compassionately, and he recognized the value in each person he came across. In my job, I'm a director at the Recenter. My staff and I deal with many hurting people on a regular basis, and we have to practice compassion daily. At work, I see the same father not being able to quit drinking. It's clearly killing him. His children just want to see him healthy and happy. After numerous conversations with this father, I began to get so frustrated, and I would feel the heat of anger just welling up inside of me. More times than not, I wanted to just shake him and just yell, "Stop drinking. It will fix so many things in your life." I then found myself beginning to dread seeing him walk through our doors. But when I feel these emotions, I ask God to keep my heart and my eyes open so that I can see this Father as Jesus sees him. God always answers my requests, and I'm able to listen with an open and compassionate heart. Whenever I do struggle with seeing others as Jesus does, a scene from a movie I watched many years ago just flashes through my head. A leper, rejected by society and burdened by his affliction, approaches Jesus with hope. His eyes reflect years of loneliness and rejection, yet a glimmer of longing for love remains. Surrounding bystanders step back in fear, their shouts of "unclean" echoing through the air, making the leper feel more isolated again. Jesus, with compassion in his eyes, sees beyond the physical disease to the heart, that heart yearning for connection. Tears well up in Jesus' eyes, mirroring the leper's own sadness, and he steps forward, defying society's norms of their time, and touches the leper's face. The warmth of Jesus' touch may possibly be the first human connection the leper has felt in years. It sends waves of healing through his body and to his broken heart. As they hug, both Jesus and the leper cry together, tears pouring as they share a moment of true connection. In that embrace, the leper finds not only physical healing, but also the love and acceptance he has longed for. This moment showed barriers of fear and judgment shattered, replaced by the power of love and compassion. Looking at others with compassion is not easy. We're all flawed humans who only see the leprosy, and compassion requires daily surrender and humility. We must take a step back and allow the Father to have his way in our lives. You can read about this very scene in the Bible in Matthew 8, 1-4. The chapter starts after Jesus finishes his Sermon on the Mount, and in particular after a significant part of the sermon about not judging lest ye be judged. It also teaches and shows us about everyone who comes to him, to Jesus, and says, "Lord, I did this, this, and this." And Jesus says, "Depart from me, for I never knew you." Immediately after speaking these important words, Jesus then goes and demonstrates just how we are to show compassion to others by healing a rejected leper. In verses 1-3, it says, "When he came down from the mountain, great crowds followed him. And behold, a leper came to him and knelt before him, saying, 'Lord, if you will, you can make me clean.' And Jesus stretched out his hands and touched him, saying, 'I will, be clean.' And immediately his leprosy was cleansed." In Jesus' 3 years of ministry, he showed us perfect compassion for others. He reached out and touched the lepers and the unwanted. God looks on the heart. He doesn't look at our appearance, whether perfect or messy, strung out, drunk, or jobless. He wants to see our hearts. I cannot stress this enough. We cannot look down on the lesser and still call ourselves Christians. So what does it take for us to see others the way Jesus sees them? How can we reach others the way Jesus reached others? We must, above all, love, and don't stop loving. We have to die to self by being humble. We must practice forgiveness over and over. We must show mercy and grace towards one another every day. This week, I want to challenge each of you to cultivate a heart of compassion in everyday lives. Whether it's work, fellowship, or your busyness, whether it's a smile to a stranger, a listening ear to a friend in need, or a gesture of kindness to someone who is just going through it. Let's show the love of Jesus to every person we encounter and continue to ask Jesus to help us see others the way that he sees them, that he breaks our heart for what breaks his. I love you guys.